I was born in Santa Cruz, Lower Santa Cruz, Central Village, Saddle Road, San Juan. 1959, grew up there, first 9 years of my life. And in 1972, my stepfather went to the States and decided to bring the rest of the family up. And within the 5 years of migrating to the States, I found myself getting involved in gang life that landed me in prison. I was sentenced to 25 years to life for murder. I went to prison in 1977. I was 19, I had just turned 19 years old. When I got sentenced 25 years to life, I felt like that was the end of my life. I would never make it out to society ever again. If the guards didn't kill me, then another inmate would kill me. A friend of mine who I knew, he said to me, "We have these attorneys coming in to interview us. You want me to put your name down to be interviewed?" And just to get out of the cell, I say, "Yeah, put my name down." He put my name down. And they came to visit and they called me out. I didn't know what was going on, but I just wanted to get out of the cell.
We had received a letter from someone at Elmira Correctional Facility alleging that there was Ku Klux Klan activity in the prison. So we went to the prison to investigate those allegations, and we were talking to different men in the prison about them, and Ernest happened to be one of the men who we called down to speak to.
And when I met her, I took one look at her and I went back in the cell and I tell them guys, and I say, "Yo, that's gonna be my wife, Well, I don't have to tell you, they laugh at me, right? So I say, "Well, you're laughing at me." They say, Nurse, how much time you done went on a visit and you say that?" I said, "Boy, plenty, but this different, boy, I'm feeling something different with this one, boy."
And it was really just, I don't know, a natural attraction for me. And as I told a friend of mine, Ernest had dreadlocks. I had never really been attracted to a man with dreadlocks. And he used to get a magazine called The Militant. He hadn't been receiving it, and he asked me to look into it. And I asked him to do some things to investigate for me. So when I left, he was going to do some things to help me with my investigation.
She surprised me because she had asked me for my birthday and asked me some questions. You had to be careful with lawyers, There's actually a lot of questions. I had no idea that this lady was going to send me a birthday card. Oh my God, that confirmed in my heart that, yeah, boy, she really gonna be my wife. So I knock on the wall next to me and I show the guy next to me and I say, "What I tell you? What I tell you? Look, she sent me a birthday card."
In April, he sent me an Easter card, and I actually didn't see him again until June of the next year.
That was the beginning of a good thing for me, because then, my life just started transforming from there, doing more writing letters, and communicating with her. A holistic development just started taking place from that encounter. I went to college for 2 years, got my associate's degree. I had to stop working out and back up off of the sports during that time because it required a lot of commitment to the books. All and any therapeutic program that was available, I took part in them. But one that had a major impact on me was the Alternative to Violence program, which was introduced to the prison system by the Quakers. I did the basic training, and then I did the advanced, And then I went on to do the trainer for trainers, and eventually became a facilitator, and went on to become the coordinator of the program. I fell in love with the program because the program actually helped me to look at myself, inner self, and to start making that change. And it also helped me to help other men, because a lot of men had to take that program in order to participate in the family reunion program. And we're talking about gangsters, men who were feared, I had to facilitate to these men and work with these men and get them to see that, listen, there is another way, that violence is not always the only way to solve a problem. And I think I was able to help them as much as I was able to help myself. She always used to tell me, if I could marry you, I would marry you today. So I was like, okay, you just saying that. But she was like, nah, I mean it. I said, all right, cool. No, this is when lifers couldn't get married. She was saying those words. So when the day came that they changed that law, well, I stepped to she one time. What's going on? He said, I have to think about it. What is there to think about? That was my response, huh? What's there to think about? She laughed. But she didn't think too long. I think about a week passed.
I decided to marry him. None of my sisters were present. His sister came to the wedding, and my friend, the one friend who I told, Beverly, and she was at the wedding. And we got married in the prison. We had to bring the minister up, and we got married in 1989.
And simple, in a one room. In one room, we exchange our vows and bought a little cake from the vending machine and had a little celebration right there. Yeah.
No honeymoon, no conjugal visit. And they do have conjugal visits in New York, but at the time the prison he was in did not have conjugal visits. So it was another 2 years before we had conjugal visits in 1991. The statistics are not good in terms of people getting married in prison. Even those who were married before they came, once they get out, that usually it breaks up. And it's easier when they're conjugal visits, and you could take, because the conjugal visits are not just for sex. Conjugal visits are for family. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time I met Ernest. That was his stepdaughter. They're very close. They were always very close. Her father was involved in her life, but he lived in North Carolina. So Ernest was the stepfather, so she was close. So she would go on visits with us. And then we had a daughter as a result, because Ernest didn't have any children. So as a result of the conjugal visits, we did have a child in 1992. In terms of the rehabilitation, it's an inspiration for people to behave better when they are getting conjugal visits and when they have family coming to visit them. And one of the things I remember when the law changed, the Commissioner of Corrections was a man named Thomas Coughlin, and they had to decide whether to appeal the decision. And he was like, no, we don't want to appeal it, because I know that my prisons are safer because I have men who are married. Men who are married are more likely to behave better, because you can't get conjugal visits if you're involved in a fight. If you hit a correction officer, it's an incentive for good behavior. 1995, Governor Pataki became governor of New York, and a lot of people started getting denied parole. And before that, we saw men who had perfect records, perfect discipline records, had been to college, had done really well, been involved in every therapeutic program, get denied over and over and over. So I started a group to fight against that, to advocate for fair parole practices, called the Coalition for Parole Restoration. CPR was the acronym, and basically we used to like to say we were giving CPR to the parole movement. And so we started protesting, doing protests at parole commissioners' homes. We started a whole movement, And one of the reasons why I did that is because I knew Ernest was coming up for parole. And once he came up, I wanted to make sure he was given a fair hearing. We got the decision on the Friday. He got the decision. And the decision said parole denied. So he called me up and told me he was denied parole. Well, of course, I was crying, and you go through the emotions, and all right, we're going to do an appeal, and so forth and so on. I went to visit him that Sunday, and, we're going through the whole thing. Ernest actually got sick because he has acid reflux. He actually had an attack of acid reflux and had to leave the visiting room and go to the hospital. He used to work in the kitchen. So the parole officer was walking through the kitchen, and he said to her, "Hey, I need to get appeal form," because she said, "What appeal form?" He's like, "Well, I got denied parole. I need an appeal form." She said, "No, I was in the room. You got what you wanted, to be deported to Trinidad." It was like, oh my God. I think I was in my office at the time. I just started screaming.
Well, so happy to be back home after 25 years. Kiss the ground. My sister, Joan Morrison, she used to carry me all over the place. We went to Kia, went to look for a job there. They had no work available. But the young woman there, the program coordinator at the time, Nadine Agard, she looked at my resume and she said to me, "You know what? I know just the place for you. Go to the YMCA. You know where the YMCA is?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Go to the YMCA. Ask for a guy named Gregory Salone Seal." Well, we didn't waste any time. We jumped in the car and drove straight over there. And I told him my story. So he said, "We don't have any work available right now." So I said, "Well, look, I need to get out. I need to do something. So if it's even to volunteer, I would like to come and volunteer." So he said, "Yeah, you could come and volunteer." So from the very next day, I started going down to the YMCA, working with youths living on the street. Some of the same very things I learned in Alternative to Violence is what I was working with them. I think I was able to save a few lives. I wasn't able to save all, but I was able to save a few young men and women. Yeah.
But it's the type of fella anywhere that he sees he could add value, especially when it comes to working with youth who live in difficult circumstances. You'll find Ernest there. Having that one person or group of persons that see the positive in you, no matter how dim that light might be, and are willing to go the distance to make that light shine brighter. You understand? And that happened to him inside, and that is something that he continues to do. To just look for the dim lights to make them shine brighter. In a nutshell.
I worked there for 10 years until the program started fading. The program started fading out. And then Gregory had moved to the Ministry of National Security under the Citizen Security Program. And I submitted my resume there.
And when he was interviewed, he interviewed very well, given his experience and background too, particularly at the YMCA and the work that he had done there with young people, and his comfort and ease relating with persons in difficult circumstances, and not having a fear to go into communities, any community, and interact with people and so forth. He was hired. Of course, he would have gone through the normal vetting that anyone in the ministry goes through. So he was vetted. And of course, his background and deportation would have come up as an issue. But given his transformation since then, 2003, he was hired.
I was surprised, though, I'll tell you the truth. I thought because of my background that the Ministry of National Security wouldn't hire me. So I have been working with the Citizen Security Program now for the past 6 years, interfacing with different communities like Enterprise, Mbakade, Laramine, Patna River Estate in the west, Debe, Bellevue, and Donald Hill, Cocorite. All these are the communities, and Covine, these are the communities that I work with, trying to impact the lives of young men and women, to bring about some change, some positive change.
Because of Ernest Nurse, I have attended through CSP, attended a mediation training. Now I'm a certified mediator with Trinidad and Tobago Mediation Board. And I have many more stories like this throughout the community where Ernest have touched lives and the lives of many young persons, including myself.
Fortunately, I was granted the opportunity to proceed to the US, Detroit and Washington in an exchange program called International Visitors Leadership Program. And I met Gregory Sloan Seal, another living legend. And he was like Corporal Small, touched with Ernest. And when I returned to Trinidad, I was real anxious to come and really start working with Ernest and working with the Citizen Security Program in Central and so on. And when I look at what Ernest is doing, when I look at what Citizen Security Program is doing, you know, we were able to work together. It was like perfect partnership. Social crime prevention approach is real important, and I'm happy that I could partner with Ernest and other organizations to make Trinidad and Tobago a safer place.
I wouldn't tell a lot of people that I was married to Ernest. I didn't tell my family for a very long time. It was something that I kept a secret. So I made a commitment to myself to writing this book, and that's when I began writing the book. Once that was done and I knew it was a finished product, then it was like, again, I decided, okay, I need to tell my neighbors before the book comes out. Now I'm just telling them. And then once the story came out on the front page, that was it. It was like the neighbors knew. I had calls from the neighbors saying, oh my God.
It's a really interesting story, and one of the positive things is the book does show there is life after prison, and also if you have the right support, be it your family, your friends, the community, it could help. All these years, this was kept very quiet, but it was a shock to some of us. For me personally, it has not changed the way I have viewed Ernest, you know, as a human being, because he's showed me so many positive things. He's always sitting and telling us, you know, you need to take a different approach to certain things in life because there are consequences. And he obviously was talking from his experience, but not divulging what had happened to him.
I am Claudette Spencer-Nurse, attorney at law, civil rights activist, author of the book Memoirs of a Prison Lawyer, Prison Wife, Mother, Wife, and Grandmother of 6.